New York City. You've been here, right? Once or twice, maybe. Did you see a show? New York is the biggest city in all of America, and it's got big, big problems. We got a new mayor. I'll tell you about him in a moment. But no matter where you live, a lot of people in your town, if they're liberal, and every town, even if you're in a conservative town, 40%, 30%, they're liberal, and they read the New York Times. The New York Times is a hideously biased and woke paper, and it affects so much of American life, even though most of us don't read it, and for good reason. All right, I bring all this up to set the parameters of the big problem we have right now in New York that affects all of us potentially across the nation. This guy, the Biden of Brooklyn, our new mayor, Eric Adams. He's only been in office for about 7 weeks. He's acting like he's the emperor. And oh, by the way, before we get into the details, you should know this. 8 million people or so live in New York. Of the 8 million, only 3.16% voted for Eric Adams. And given our crazy system where the Democratic Party has complete power, he's the mayor. 200,000, something like that, votes, and he's the mayor. Anyway, he's very disappointed in all of us in the media. Look, I can't stand the fake news either, but he's been getting some great press. Look, he's out of ideas. He doesn't have much in the way of knowledge. 7 weeks on the job. What else is there to do? The race card.
We need to really stop distorting the news. And, I'm going to say this. And, I'm not saying it out of hate. I'm saying it out of love. I'm a black man. That's the mayor. But my story has been interpreted by people that don't look like me. We got to be honest about that. How many blacks are in the editorial boards? How many blacks are determining how these stories are being written?
Wow, he has a problem with all the white reporters, huh? He wants them to look like him. I think he feels the same way about the voters, or does he? By the way, there are more blacks, as he puts it, on those editorial boards than he thinks. And one of them, inexplicably in my opinion, the New York Post, actually endorsed this guy. They endorsed him enthusiastically. One of the craziest things I've ever seen from a usually fantastic newspaper. All right, so he's playing the race card in front of everybody. It was wild.
I say that to all your owners of your papers, your editorials, diversify your newsroom so I can look out and see people that look like me.
Look like me. Look like me. The cheapest, rawest, dumbest thing I've ever heard. What does he want them to be, bald? No, he wants them to be black. And I think that's a horrible way to look at the world. Like, I want everybody around me to be white. That would be racist. And this is racist. And it's a trick that mayors who are failing use. Like Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago, murder capital of the world. Remember this, when she will only give one-on-one interviews to journalists of color. Because after all, that's what's most important. Race, gender, sexuality. That's what defines us as human beings. Isn't that right, Mayor?
As a woman of color, as a lesbian, it's important to me that diversity is put front and center.
It's important for your constituents that safety, law and order be put front and center. And the same goes for here in New York. Now, what Eric Adams, the mayor, wanted to talk about today was a big meeting he had up in Albany. He was very excited that he went to Albany and he met with some officials. They talked about various initiatives, day-to-day stuff that politicians talk about. And he was upset the media didn't run with this kind of run-of-the-mill story. And he was flabbergasted that everybody he was in the room with was black. And he's wondering why we're not impressed.
People raised the issues that they had, and we talked. Black mayor, black speaker, black majority leader, coming together and talking to each other.
Big deal. By the way, all those people, they're in the same party. It's not a big deal. Another problem we have here in New York, this guy, Eric Adams, is not smart, and now he has a lot of power. Okay, back to the racism.
If you want to acknowledge or not, I have been doing a darn good job. And we just can't live in this alternate reality. I was blown away when I picked up the papers today.
Blown away. He was blown away because the coverage wasn't as positive as he thought he should be. Blown away. You know who's been blown away lately? Police officers. 6 of them so far on his watch since he became mayor. And the last two on the right, Officer Mora and Officer Rivera, shot and killed in Harlem on January 21st. And he says blown away. And let's not forget young Miss Lee stalked and stabbed to death just the other day in her apartment by a career criminal. And this guy is complaining about his media coverage. All right, well, what was the substance of what he wanted to get at? He chewed out the reporters, and then he says, I want to talk about this because it's important. Well, what's so important, Mr. Mayor?
And so today, we brought together this important group of people to talk about another piece of my administration. Our summer youth employment is crucial. We're reaffirming our commitment to our young people in the city of New York.
Summer youth employment. You know who came up with this? Franklin Delano Roosevelt about 80 years ago. Did you catch that word? He's reaffirming. Why aren't we talking about his half-baked, old, ineffective idea? Because it's half-baked, it's old, and it's ineffective. You want to see how half-baked it is? His incompetent predecessor was touting it just 8 months ago.
The Summer Youth Anti-Violence Employment Effort. This has been an effort to ensure that young people who are at risk get opportunities for summer youth employment, get steered in the right direction.
Oh, fantastic. Did these gentlemen realize that crime happens when it's cold as well? They're all talking about the summer, but this stuff has happened very recently. Armed robberies in the cold. They're wearing their heavy jackets. They're always talking about that summer youth program, the jobs program. It's going to fix everything. All right, back to the Biden of Brooklyn. So this new initiative, employing kids this summer for 6 weeks, it's not just about giving them a job. It's about giving them a chance to complain about victimization from those, white supremacists.
What we want to accomplish is to make sure that at the end of the program, that these young people, number one, they're exposed. Number two, that they're meeting other young people to start cohorts. We want to look into how do we deal with increasing hate crimes by allowing them to talk to each other and talk about their own personal experiences.
Yes, let's get those young men of color together to talk about hate crimes from those white supremacists and the hate crimes that are happening in this city right now primarily are against Asian people. And I mentioned Miss Lee. She was stalked by a career criminal who happened to be black, probably mentally disturbed. We don't know the motivations, if any. Seems to qualify as a hate crime. Let's be real here, all right? This is happening. Our mayor is living in fantasy land. As a matter of fact, the Biden of Brooklyn, everything he said today, it kind of reminded me of this, calling out the media this way.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Right? I mean, the Biden of Brooklyn, it kind of makes sense. And he's so into being mayor, but not actually doing the job of mayor. Take a look. This is what I mean. Who goes around like this? I mean, is he Tom Selleck? What's going on? And this is his little slogan. Everything about you must say power. All right, he's into the swagger. And by the way, the Biden of Brooklyn, I didn't make that up. He actually calls himself that. He does.
This is a great city, and I'm the Biden of Brooklyn. There is a reason they call me the Biden of Brooklyn.
Okay, I'll call you the Biden of Brooklyn because you're not very good at talking and you're pretty dumb, just like Joe Biden. Sorry, it's true. All right, back to that meeting today when he was scolding the reporters. And boy, oh boy, he really was chewing them out, shaming them for being who they are. And he dropped a word that's it's a pretty dangerous one. If you say this in HR, human resources, they have to listen to what you're saying. This was some sort of weird warning shot from our very unusual mayor.
Based on the prisms that we have, based on the prism of this young man, based on the prism of being the first black woman that's the speaker, or Jumaane Williams, based on the prisms of his realities, it's not what we're getting. That's not what we're getting. And that's why I'm covered the way I'm covered. I'm not comfortable with it.
He's not comfortable. You go into HR, you say you're not comfortable with how somebody is treating you. You know what? You often get results. You get change. You get somebody in trouble. And when he was talking to those reporters, and I looked through the room, and there were white reporters, you know what? All this virtue signaling, all this shaming, all this you don't know what it's like to be black rhetoric, it actually worked. It actually worked. The reporters were intimidated, and they asked weak questions about that silly summer jobs program. We need to be very, very aggressive, because if we push him, who knows, maybe he'll muster whatever little bit of talent and ability he might possess into doing some good for the community and not just looking like a sharp dude.